Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Happy Labor Day weekend. We are on the verge of a 3-day weekend. Nothing standing between us and that long weekend except this weekly member spotlight. So we're super excited to get going on this. And I am honored to be here today with a gentleman I have not had the pleasure of getting to know very well. So this is an exciting interview for me. But we're here with Mr. Joe Colburn from Denizen Management. Joe, welcome.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you so much for volunteering to be part of this initiative. I love the times that I get to sit down with folks who I want to get to know a little better as well. So you're one of those up-and-comers in our industry, and very, very excited to have you here. I'd like to start out by maybe just asking you to introduce yourself for those folks that might not know you. Tell us just a little bit about what you do with Denizen and maybe how long you've been in the business.
Okay. So I have been with Denizen for about 6 years now. I started on site and became their trainer. Wrote several of their training modules that they have now, and I'm currently a district manager over Dayton, Cincinnati, and Columbus. So yeah,
That's a nice portfolio, but all drivable. So
yes, I lucked out. I don't have like a tri-state area,
right?
Crazy like that.
How many properties do you oversee?
This month I jumped up to about 20.
Oh wow,
so
that's
I've got
a big
quite
portfolio.
a few, but there are a few of them that are smaller. So
Got it.
But yeah, and they're all close.
Yeah. What do you like so much about being in property management?
The variety.
Yeah.
It is crazy one day and calm the next, and every minute is something totally different, and I love that. I feel like that's why we all watch TV, is for that crazy up and down, and we actually get to live stuff like that every day.
I feel like a broken record now because I say this all the time, but like we have got to get some reality TV show going about property management.
We do. How are they missing this boat?
Thank you.
They've got people doing like Duck Dynasty and Hunting in the Woods, and that is nothing compared to what we do.
I could not agree more. So you've been in the industry, you said, for about 12 years, worked for Denizen for about half of those. I'm sure you've seen your fair share of crazy things going on. What's one of the more memorable stories?
Oh my gosh. I think one of the positive ones that come to mind
Right.
is I worked for a company, gosh, like 9-10 years ago. And they were actually open on New Year's Eve for like a half day. And I was like, this is so stupid. Why are we here? No one's coming in on New Year's Eve looking for an apartment.
Right.
So at 9 a.m. I had this lady come in, really sweet. She came in with her son. She looked a little battered, and she was like, I need an apartment today. I really have to get in as soon as possible. And so I took her around, showed her a couple different options that she could actually get into that day, and kind of found out as we went along that she was living in Seattle, and I was working in Columbus at the time. And she booked a flight the night before as soon as she could, and just flew with her son out. It was the cheapest flight she could get, and she was trying to get away from her abusive husband. So she just landed in Columbus, had plenty of money in her bank account, and she was just trying to start a new life and get away from everything. And I was like, all right, well, let's try to get you in. So I stayed over a little bit to make sure that we could get her in that day, and showed her around some stuff that was nearby. And so for me, I just always think about the impact that we can make on people's lives, because you don't really think about it when you're doing like a short holiday shift, like what we've got coming up this weekend.
Right.
And, you don't really think about the impact that you're making on people every day, but she was so happy to just have a place, and she was so grateful that there was at least one place in town that was open on a holiday, so she didn't have to stay in a hotel until, a couple more days. So it was awesome.
That is, I think, the best part about our industry and about our jobs is that people, everyone has a story, and what's more important than where you live. So we're so intimately connected to our customers and our residents that it just makes what we do worthwhile.
Yeah, it really does.
It does. That's a great story. I love that. So how did you originally get into property management?
Oh, well, I started in real estate at the stupidest time to start in real estate, back when the market crashed.
Right.
So I'd gotten my realtor's license, and I'd had it for about a month, and the brokerage I was with went from 38 realtors down to 9.
Oh, wow.
Nothing was moving, and I was like, okay, well, I actually need a paycheck.
Right. Those come in handy.
Yeah, they do. So I transitioned over into multifamily, and I've loved it ever since, and never gone back to just showing this is the house.
Right.
It's always been way more complicated than that, and I love it.
Right. I've heard a lot of people, I know a lot of folks, I have my real estate license but don't practice in selling anything, but I have a lot of friends who do, and a lot of people are getting antsy and wondering, when's the ticking time bomb going to go off again? And
because it's great right now.
it's fantastic right now, and there's a lot of opportunity out there. But I've had some friends message me on the side and say, keep me in mind, I'm just kind of thinking about what's coming next. But
in 9 months when this
and my mom was a realtor. My family has a real estate brokerage in our hometown, and I remember back when as a kid the cycle kind of came full circle, and she had to go get a job because she was not breaking any sales records. So that's great, and I think a lot of folks from this industry have either dabbled in real estate or came from real estate, so it's a good parallel. Well, what advice, Joe, would you offer up to the fellow up and coming folks in the industry like yourself?
I would say stick with it. A lot of people in this industry give up because there are really hard days and there's really good days, and you get that with anything that has a lot of variety. But sticking with it and having that grit, it has a lot of payoff, and it has a lot of benefit, and it helps you grow not only as a professional but as a person too. This line of work will pull out things from your depths that you were never expecting, and things that you didn't know about yourself. And just stay with it.
You almost need a psychology degree to do what we do, huh?
I do have one.
Do you really? Well, that must come in handy.
It does. It comes in very handy.
Right, because you never know what hat you're going to have to wear from day to day to get through the day.
Yep.
Well, do you mind if we shift gears and get to know you a little bit more on a personal level?
Sure.
Not that the professional part isn't fascinating, but I'm interested to know a little bit more about who you are. Well, tell us about your family or your home life.
So I've been with my partner for about 4 years now. Come from an amazing family. I've got 2 siblings and a mom who is like my best friend. Even if she wasn't my mom, she'd still be my best friend. So I've been very fortunate to have an amazing family and an amazing home life that's very stable, knock on wood.
Right.
But yeah.
Good for you. Do you live in Cincinnati, Dayton, or Columbus area?
I actually live in the Dayton area.
Oh, okay.
From there pretty much my whole life.
Yeah, very nice. Well, what do you like to do in your pastime? Any hobbies?
Anything that has to do with adrenaline.
Oh,
you
yeah?
gotta get yourself going after those like boring days and long weeks. And so skydiving, zip lining, roller coasters, anything to get your blood pumping. I love it.
I loved one of your pictures you shared that we're going to share when we make the post a little bit later, and it's you skydiving.
Yes.
Wow, how many times have you been, or where did you go?
Oh, I've been quite a few times.
Yeah.
I wanted to get certified so that I could like train it. You only have to go like 9 times in order to be certified, but I think my favorite spot that I went was in Philadelphia, because when you're coming down, you're so high up that you can actually see Philly and Pittsburgh and DC.
Wow.
People don't realize like how high up you are, but you can see like all of the big metropolitan areas and all of the green in between, and it's just beautiful.
Wow. So what made you want to go skydiving?
A fear of heights.
Yeah? That's one way to get over it, huh?
Yep, exactly. I was like, we're gonna get over this. So I got there at the door, and you've got the person strapped to your back, and he was just like, you're supposed to go now, and I'm like, I don't think so. And so he like kind of pushed me out, and it was great, and I loved it.
Yeah.
I've gone several times since.
I literally cannot imagine. But they just opened the new, is it called iFly?
Yeah,
Which is supposed to be like the simulator thing. I'm thinking I'm going to try that at some point, just to maybe, have the experience without the fear.
Way more relaxing than you'd expect. You don't actually get the falling because you're coming down at an angle, so you don't get like the roller coaster feeling.
Terrified to like jump off the high dive, so I would have to be pushed with force out
okay,
of the door.
They'll do that.
Well, I love the picture, so that's great. What's your favorite roller coaster that you've ever ridden?
Flight of Fear.
Yeah.
I love it. I love the story that goes along with it, and that it's inside, so you can't really see what's going on, and I don't do heat, so the air conditioning on a roller coaster makes it even better.
So it looks like Kings Island's getting a new one, Orion, very soon. That's going to be, is it the world's fastest, longest?
I think it was supposed to be like the biggest drop or something like that. I'm not sure.
Well, that'll be good for an adrenaline junkie like yourself. Well, what about reading? Read any good books lately?
I have. I actually got a great one recommended by my boss, my mentor, Oksana.
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone knows Oksana. I don't even have to say her last name, but I can. It's Lukianenko.
I would have never been able to say that.
No one else can say it. I can say it and spell it.
We do all know Oksana. She is on the board of directors, and she actually helped connect us so that you could be part of this initiative. So thank you, Oksana.
Yeah, and thank you for the book recommendation. It was great. It was Good Leaders Ask Great Questions. Which is so true, because you're never going to really know what you're leading people into if you don't know what you're up against. So asking those really important questions
Right.
is more important than just giving direction. You really have to understand the situations that you're stepping into.
That's
so
great.
the book was great.
I love this initiative because I don't think anyone has said the same book twice, and so I've got this huge list now of books,
Yeah.
both just fun books and leadership books that I'm like, I need to check this out. I need to check
Yeah.
this out. So I'm going to add that one to my list. Thank you. What about a favorite food or restaurant?
Well, there aren't too many foods I don't like.
Yeah.
I'll eat just about anything, but pizza is always amazing. I think probably my favorite is actually Jean-Pierre's here in Cincinnati.
Mhm.
It's so good.
Yeah.
And they always have like something a little different. Like I went there one time and they had like a candied beet cake.
Oh, wow.
And it sounds weird and terrible, and it was
Amazing. So are you adventurous with trying new things? Will you basically try anything?
Yep, just about anything.
Yeah. I need to be that adventurous because I would never know the pleasure of a candied beet cake if it's not chocolate or something like that. I'm just not going to waste the calories.
I wouldn't have picked it, but the waiter did. And I was like, sure, let's
There you
go
go.
for it if you say it's good.
Well, what's one of your favorite TV shows or movies to watch?
Oh my gosh. I love TV and movies, especially like old movies.
Yeah.
So I would have to say Casablanca
Oh,
would be like
wow.
my favorite
Yeah.
one. I think everybody's heard about it, not everyone's actually seen it, so you should see it. It's kind of like the original La La Land. It's
Mhm.
like that bittersweet romance kind of movie that's just more realistic than most romance movies.
Well, that's interesting. Haven't had anyone say that movie before, so that's good. What do you watch on TV if you were going to watch TV through the week? Do you have a show that you follow or reality TV?
Just about everything at this point.
Yeah.
Let's see, I just finished 13 Reasons Why. I was kind of forced to watch it.
Yeah.
It wasn't really my type of
That's on
of
Netflix,
show.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I've heard
It's very
about that.
dark.
Dark, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
and
like suicide kind of.
I like
yeah.
a little bit lighter things, but it
Yeah.
was actually really good. The acting is a lot better than I thought it was going to be. So
Yeah, I've heard
kudos
that's
on the
good.
acting.
I'm excited. It's the fall lineup getting ready to come out, so I've taken a break from a couple of seasons, and I'm like, I'm going to find something to attach to. I feel disconnected from society, not following any TV shows. Well, what about music? Have you been to any great concerts?
Oh my gosh, I love concerts. I've actually been to quite a few this year.
Yeah.
My mom took me to Marilyn Manson and Rob Zombie.
Oh,
She's a
wow.
total metalhead.
Where was that?
Here in Riverbend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Everything's great at Riverbend.
I know, Riverbend is amazing. I'd have to say my favorite though would be Warped Tour. This was their last year of doing it, but they have like, I'm a big punk rock fan, and they have 20, 30 bajillion bands that they'll put on, so they usually have like 5 different stages that you
that's
can bounce between and see different artists, and it was so much fun.
Was
Just
it in the
literally-
Cincinnati area?
Yeah, so I saw it at Riverbend too
Oh,
a couple
cool.
years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of that, so that's interesting. But the festival kind of shows are always fantastic.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Great. Well, this is a random and unique question, but I'm gonna ask you anyway. If you were an animal, what would you be and why?
Probably a cat. I'm a little finicky.
Yeah.
A little difficult at times.
Right.
So yeah, I'd have to go with that.
I like that. I can get behind that. Well, what's an interesting detail about yourself that we wouldn't otherwise know without asking?
Oh my gosh. Interesting detail. Probably that I'm just very open. I think a lot of people think of me as closed off, and you can ask me pretty much anything and get an honest answer, which isn't always a good thing, but
I don't know. I think that's a pretty good characteristic to have.
well, thanks.
So having been in the industry, I know you've probably won some awards, have some designations. I think you mentioned something about being involved in Dayton and the apartment association there.
Yeah,
What-
so I'm actually on the board of directors
Okay.
at the GDAA. I joined the end of last year, and it's been amazing. There's been some really great changes to the GDAA here recently, so I'm loving it, and I'm loving being on the board with some amazing people.
That's great.
And then I've won a couple different awards through Denizen as well, so yeah, it's been awesome.
I love that we have a really great cross section of members, especially associate members. Not as many primary members, though there are certainly some, but a lot of our associate members are participants in the GDAA and the GCNKAA, so we share a lot.
And we appreciate all of that.
Absolutely, we do. All right, well, last question, Joe, and we're going to let you and everyone else get to their long-awaited weekend. So we did reach out to some of your colleagues who said some very lovely things about you. I'm excited to share those in our post later today. But what do you think people would say about who you are as a professional?
So my assistant manager, when I was on site, gave me like the best feedback I'd ever heard, and it made me so happy. She said that she'd never met anyone who was more firm, fair, and friendly.
I like
And
that.
I loved that because I never really considered myself to be those three things, but then I was like, oh yeah, that's something good to strive for
I
every day.
like that.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm gonna
Positive
go with
F words. Firm, fair, friendly. I like
that.
it.
And it's hard to find positive F words
I know,
sometimes.
right? Well, thank you very much, Joe. It's been a pleasure to get to know you a little bit better. Thanks everyone for joining us. We
Thanks,
hope you have
guys.
a super fun, long, safe Labor Day weekend, and we'll see you back here next week for another edition of the Weekly Member Spotlight. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, guys.